Wheat pennies look ordinary, but some are worth a small fortune. Rare dates, mint mark errors, and low mintage coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. From the famous 1909 S VDB to hidden gems in your change, these pennies are true collector treasures. Don't overlook them. Your wheat cent might be worth way more than 1 cent. The year 1948 stands out in the long history of the Lincoln wheat cent as a time when the nation was still adjusting to life after World War II. Factories had shifted back from wartime production, and the U.S. Mint was once again striking coins in full force to meet the demands of a growing economy. For most people, the 1948 penny was just a small copper coin featuring Abraham Lincoln on one side and the classic wheat ears on the reverse. It was part of daily commerce, sliding into pay envelopes, vending machines, and grocery store tills. But as with so many other years in coinage, errors were made during production, and those mistakes transformed certain 1948 wheat pennies into treasures that collectors now chase with incredible enthusiasm. These error coins, once worth just 1 cent, have crossed the auction block for thousands, and in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars, making them some of the most captivating pieces in U.S. numismatic history. One of the most desirable types of 1948 penny errors is the double die. On a double die coin, the hubbing process that creates the working die leaves behind a doubled image, and every coin struck from that die carries the same doubling. For 1948, examples have surfaced showing doubling on the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and sometimes on Lincoln's profile itself. These coins are especially sought after because the doubling can be seen with the naked eye, leaving no doubt about the authenticity of the error. Collectors have paid astonishing prices for such pieces. A particularly sharp 1948 double die penny in mint state condition sold for over $12,000 at a major auction, while another with even bolder doubling fetched nearly $15,000. The thrill of seeing the inscriptions on a wheat cent suddenly appear doubled is enough to make even casual collectors sit up and take notice. Another striking category of errors from 1948 is the off-center strike. These coins occur when the blank planchet is misaligned within the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. Depending on how far off the strike is, the resulting coin can range from just slightly unusual to dramatically eye-catching. For collectors, the sweet spot is often around 50% off-center while still retaining a fully visible date, which proves the coin's rarity. A 1948 penny with this kind of dramatic off-center strike realized over $4,600 at auction, while another with an even more extreme misalignment brought in nearly $6,000. The visual impact of such coins makes them showpieces in any collection, and the fact that the date remains visible adds both credibility and value. Wrong planchet errors are some of the rarest and most valuable mistakes known to collectors, and the 1948 wheat cent is no exception. These occur when the Lincoln design is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a dime or nickel, or even on a foreign coin blank. The result is a penny that looks odd in both size and weight, and such errors are almost always instantly noticeable. In one famous case, a 1948 Lincoln cent was struck on a dime planchet, producing a smaller, silver-colored coin with the wheat cent design. That piece sold for an incredible $18,500 at auction. Another example struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin brought in over $20,000, showing just how far collectors are willing to go for these extraordinary mistakes. Clipped planchets are another fascinating error that collectors pursue from the 1948 issue. These occur when the blank metal sheet used to create coin planchets is improperly cut, resulting in coins with curved or straight edges missing. Sometimes a coin can even feature multiple clips, which is extremely rare. A dramatic single-clip 1948 penny sold for $1,700, while a multiple-clip example reached more than $2,800 at auction. The unusual appearance of these coins, with chunks visibly missing, makes them both intriguing and highly collectible. Struck-through errors also add to the list of exciting 1948 penny varieties. These happen when foreign materials like grease, fabric, or even pieces of metal find their way between the die and planchet during striking. The resulting coins bear strange depressions, textures, or ghost-like impressions of the material. A 1948 penny struck through heavy grease that left most of Lincoln's profile weak and indistinct sold for $1,450, while another struck through a small piece of wire that embedded itself into the surface brought nearly $2,300. These pieces tell vivid stories of the minting process gone wrong and are treasured by collectors who love coins that bear visible signs of their unusual creation. Condition, as always, plays a central role in determining value. The majority of 1948 wheat pennies circulated heavily, meaning most examples today are found in worn condition. While errors in circulated grades still command attention, it's the mint state pieces that truly soar in value. A 1948 double-die penny in fine condition may only bring a few $100s, but the same coin in mint state with original luster can fetch over $10,000. Collectors prize sharp details, bright copper-red coloration, and the absence of distracting marks. These factors combine with the error itself to make certain coins among the most valuable wheat pennies ever struck. The most exciting sales of 1948 penny errors have come from major auction houses, where competition among collectors drives prices higher than ever. At one such auction, a nearly flawless 1948 double-die penny brought in over $20,000 after an intense bidding war. In another, a wrong planchet strike in superb condition soared to nearly $25,000, leaving both collectors and spectators amazed. These sales highlight the importance of provenance, condition, and rarity in determining just how much a coin can bring when it crosses the block. Behind these sales are stories of incredible discoveries. One collector in California found a dramatic off-center 1948 penny in a bag of wheat cents purchased from a local coin shop, later selling it for thousands after certification. Another collector discovered a wrong planchet 1948 penny in a box of old family coins, unaware that the odd-looking piece was worth over $15,000 until it was professionally evaluated. These stories capture the imagination and fuel the passion of coin hunters everywhere, proving that treasures can be hiding in the most unexpected places. The 1948 wheat penny holds a special place in American coinage history. Not only does it represent the enduring design of Victor David Brenner's Lincoln obverse and the iconic wheat reverse, but it also embodies the fascinating world of mint errors. These mistakes, once overlooked or discarded, have now become prized artifacts that reveal the complexities of coin production and the unpredictability of human and mechanical error. For collectors, they are more than just coins. They are pieces of history, each with a story to tell. What makes the 1948 penny particularly appealing is the combination of its post-war context and its role in everyday American life. These were coins carried by returning veterans, spent in diners and movie theaters, and dropped into piggy banks across the nation. To think that some of these ordinary coins could be worth thousands today because of a simple mistake adds an element of wonder to the hobby of collecting. It reminds us that value isn't always tied to rarity alone. It can also come from the unique quirks of production that transform the mundane into the extraordinary. When collectors look at a 1948 penny today, they see more than copper and wheat stalks. They see the possibility of discovery, the excitement of uncovering a double die or a wrong planchet, the thrill of holding in their hands a coin that has defied the odds. Auction records confirm that these coins can bring life-changing sums, from $1,500 for a struck-through example to $25,000 for a rare wrong planchet. And the hunt continues, as collectors scour their old wheat cent jars, dealer stock, and auction catalogs in search of the next great find. So the next time you encounter a wheat penny from 1948, don't dismiss it as just another old coin. Take a closer look at the inscriptions, the strike, the shape of the planchet, and the details of the design. Because hidden in that little piece of copper might be an error that transforms a single cent into a fortune. The 1948 penny proves that even in the most familiar places, treasures are waiting to be discovered. And those who take the time to look closely may just uncover the next headline-making rarity to stun the numismatic world. The 1953 Lincoln wheat penny may seem like just another small copper coin at first glance, but hidden among the millions struck that year are pieces that turned out very different from what the U.S. Mint intended. These errors have transformed ordinary 1-cent coins into treasures, coins that have stunned collectors and fetched thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars at auctions. The reason isn't just the copper or the age, but the mistakes that made certain 1953 wheat pennies completely unique. These small accidents tell a bigger story of how coins were made, and how tiny flaws in the process can create something far more valuable than anyone expected. The double die is one of the most exciting types of errors you can find in a 1953 penny. It happens when the die itself, the tool that stamps the coin, gets imprinted twice at slightly different angles during production. Every coin struck with that die shows the doubling, usually in the lettering or Lincoln's portrait. For the 1953 wheat cent, doubling often appears on Liberty or I in God We Trust, and sometimes even around Lincoln's jaw or eye. It's easy to see with the naked eye, which makes it especially appealing to collectors. That's why auction prices for double die cents have gone into the thousands, with some particularly bold examples hitting well over $10,000 when they appeared at major sales. Imagine finding one of these in a box of old pennies, a coin worth thousands just because of a subtle duplication in the design. Off-center strikes tell another fascinating story. These happen when the coin blank wasn't seated properly in the press, so the design comes down off to the side. Some of Lincoln's profile might be missing, or a blank crescent of copper shows along the rim. The most valuable examples are dramatic, with the design struck halfway off the coin, but still showing the full date. Those are the ones that auction bidders fight over, sometimes bringing several $1,000s because they're both rare and visually striking. Coins like this don't just look unusual, they feel like minting history frozen in place, showing the exact moment something went wrong. Then there are wrong planchet errors, which are extremely rare and incredibly valuable. A planchet is the blank piece of metal the design is struck onto, and each denomination is supposed to use its own. But occasionally a blank for another coin slips through. That's how you end up with a 1953 penny struck on a dime planchet, smaller and silver-colored instead of copper. These are instantly noticeable and highly prized because they shouldn't exist at all. When authenticated and graded by professionals, examples like this have sold for staggering amounts, often exceeding $15,000 or even more depending on condition. Collectors love them because they're dramatic, one-of-a-kind mistakes that no one could create outside the mint. Clipped planchets are another type of error that can be found from 1953. These coins have pieces missing from their edge, either curved or straight, because the blanks were cut improperly. Some coins even show multiple clips, which are even rarer and more desirable. While these errors may not always reach the five-figure level, they can still sell for hundreds or even a few $1,000s if dramatic and paired with nice condition. Their appeal comes from being immediately obvious to the eye and from telling a clear story about how the planchet cutting process went wrong before striking. Struck-through errors add another layer of intrigue. These occur when foreign material, grease, fabric, or bits of metal got between the die and the blank at the moment of striking. The coin comes out with strange indentations or ghostly impressions of the material. Every struck-through is unique, and some can be especially dramatic if they affect Lincoln's portrait or the wheat stalks on the reverse. Collectors have paid thousands for unusual struck-through pieces because they're truly one-of-a-kind, and they show the chaos of the minting process in a way that's both tangible and fascinating. Condition is always key when it comes to value. Most 1953 pennies were spent heavily in circulation, so they're often found today worn and dull. An error coin in circulated condition may still bring a few $100s, but when one is preserved in mint state, with sharp details and original copper-red color, its value can skyrocket. Auction records confirm this. The same type of error that might bring $500 in worn condition can bring over $10,000 in a brilliant mint state example. Collectors pay premiums for eye appeal, luster, and preservation, and the 1953 wheat cent errors are no exception. Major auction houses have seen some jaw-dropping results for these coins. One dramatic double die in superb condition brought more than $12,000 after fierce competition. A wrong planchet example sold for over $18,000, and another spectacular off-center strike with a visible date pushed close to $6,000. These results aren't outliers. They show the consistent demand for unusual error coins, and how a tiny 1-cent piece can become the centerpiece of a collection when it carries a dramatic story of minting gone wrong. What makes these stories even better is how some of the coins were discovered. Collectors have found dramatic off-center 1953 pennies in bags of old wheat cents purchased at coin shops, later realizing they were holding thousands of dollars in value. Families sorting through jars of coins from grandparents have stumbled across wrong planchet pennies without even knowing at first what they were. A coin that looked odd, that didn't quite match the rest, turned out to be worth more than $15,000 when authenticated. These stories fuel the passion of collectors everywhere and remind people that treasures might still be hiding in plain sight. The 1953 penny also has historical weight. This was a post-war America moving into a new decade, a time when coins like the wheat cent were part of everyday life. Kids carried them to buy candy. Adults used them in diners and theaters. Families saved them in jars. The idea that one of these ordinary pennies could turn out to be worth thousands today adds a sense of wonder. It's not just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, about a forgotten piece of change suddenly rewriting itself as a prized rarity. When you hold a 1953 wheat penny today, the first instinct might be to dismiss it as just another old coin. But the truth is, every single one has the potential to be extraordinary. Look closely at the inscriptions. Is there doubling? Check the strike. Is the design off-center? Weigh the coin if you can. Does it feel lighter or smaller than normal? Examine the edges. Is there a clip? Every small detail could reveal an error that turns a 1-cent piece into something worth thousands. That's the magic of coin collecting. The possibility that the next coin you inspect could change everything. Collectors know this, and that's why 1953-era pennies continue to draw attention and high prices. They represent a blend of history, accident, and value that no other object quite captures. They remind us that even the smallest coins carry stories, and that sometimes the most ordinary things hide the greatest surprises. From double dies to wrong planchets, from clipped blanks to struck-through mysteries, the 1953 wheat penny has proven that mistakes can be worth far more than perfection. And for those who search through jars, rolls, and boxes of old coins, the hunt is part of the reward, because you never know when a 1-cent coin might reveal itself as a 5-figure treasure.